Hello YouTube people. We're on, I think, about a week and a half of being inside our house, though we do take long walks every single day. I'm also very lucky to work from home as well. So I was talking to one of my oldest friends yesterday, and what do you do when you have a lot of time on your hands? I said, well, I'm going to go through my CD collection and organize it. Right now my CD collection is totally unorganized, but I thought maybe a fun game to play would be to go through my CD rack randomly, because all my CDs are disorganized. So if I were to show you online my collection, I'd probably try to make it look cool. But we're just going to pick a shelf at random, and all the nerdy CDs are the ones that I'm not proud to have in my collection. Whatever I have, I have. So I decided to pick the second shelf in the closet. I've got three main parts to my collection, so I'm going to show you this. If I can get this to flip around. Here's the rack on top of the dresser. Then I have, I have a bunch of vinyl on the floor, and I've been meaning to buy a turntable for like the last 5 years. I just haven't got around to it yet, but that's definitely going to be in the cards. Then I have the collection in the closet. And I have all these CDs all uploaded to the cloud, which is really cool. And my dog decided to disturb me for some reason. He doesn't realize that I'm in the middle of making a video. Hey, they're kind of getting used to us being around all the time. I think they wonder why we're never going anywhere anymore. Today I'm gonna randomly go through shelf number 2 here in the closet. And I honestly don't know what's in here, so there could be some really cool stuff or some really nerdy stuff. So let's take a look. All right, first we got Mott the Hoople. I never really played them much. I think Peter Frampton used to play in that band. Actually, that's a different band that he used to be in. Yeah, just never listened to it much. Bought this in a bargain rack somewhere. Says the nice price. Next we have, okay, here's a nerdy one. This is Command and Conquer Red Alert. There's actually some really cool synthesizer jams on here. And I used them for some videos back in the old days when I used to make different types of YouTube videos. All right, CD number 3. Oh, a classic. Led Zeppelin 4 with Stairway to Heaven. I still like Led Zeppelin a lot. I haven't really listened to this CD in a while. They're a great band, but when I was a kid, I listened to them too much. So I still do enjoy their music, but just not all the time. All right, CD number 4, we got Working Man's Dead by the Grateful Dead. I bought this back when I was in college, but I really didn't appreciate it till maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So there's a lot of country influences. Back then, I only liked the Grateful Dead's psychedelic work. So now I appreciate the CD a lot more than I did when I first bought it. All right, what do we got now? This one's an unlabeled one. Oh, this is a guy that plays praise music. And I met him personally, a guy named Bill Chacon. And I guess he used to carry Elvis Presley's luggage too. He used to work with Elvis Presley. Really cool guy, kind of sounds like Johnny Cash. So I really like him. I haven't seen him in a long time, but this is a cool CD. All right, what's next? We got some Beethoven. Oh, which one is this? I don't even remember buying this. Beethoven number 5. I do like some classical music. All right, this is Black Sabbath. Some people think Black Sabbath's evil. I really don't. This is the reunion tour back in, I think, 98 or 99 when they got the original lineup back. Ozzy Osbourne rejoined the band. Oh, this is DC Talk. These guys are kind of another Christian band. They do Christian hip hop. I didn't really care for this CD too much, but a guy named Toby Mac came out of this band. And I like Toby Mac. This is a CD that my dad loaned me. This is Leonard Cohen, and I hate to admit, I haven't even listened to it. I know he's a well-respected artist. I'm going to have to give it a listen. All right. More Black Sabbath. This is Volume 4. I've had this album. I used to have it on vinyl since I was probably in 6th or 7th grade. But, well-known legends of hard rock. Here we have Soundgarden, and this is the last one they did. This was the reunion album they did in 2013, and I really liked it actually. So I was really sad when Chris Cornell passed away. They were definitely one of my favorite bands. I think that they were totally underrated. Allman Brothers Band, greatest hits. I think the Allman Brothers Band, when it comes to just pure musicianship, it's hard to get better than that. All right, wow, going through one shelf is actually going to take a long time. I got to speed it up here. All right, we've got the Beatles Past Masters. These are a lot of like B-sides and things that were released on 45. You know, the first album I bought when I was a kid was a Beatles album. Creed, kind of like grunge music. I do like some of their songs. Haven't listened to them in a while. The Foo Fighters. My son's more into the Foo Fighters. All right, let's take a look here. What do we got next? Albert King. I love this album. Live Wire Blues Power. Supposedly he opened up for Jimi Hendrix on this particular set and stole the show. Now you might wonder, how do you steal the show from Jimi Hendrix? But I think Albert King's sense of humor is phenomenal. This is a great album here. This is the Black Crowes with Jimmy Page live. I always used to wonder, like, you know, after Led Zeppelin broke up, Robert Plant did a lot of stuff, but Jimmy Page really didn't do much, you know, so that's part of the reason I got that. I really like that CD. Might have to listen to that again. Some Audio Slave. This was Chris Cornell's band with the guitar player from Rage Against the Machine. This particular one wasn't their best, but I still like it. This is my favorite Audio Slave CD, the first one. I thought this was amazing. All right, I'm gonna have to go real fast now. I didn't plan on this being a long video, but going through one rack's actually taking a long time. This is something I downloaded from the internet. Some live Metallica. This is the first live Grateful Dead album from 1970. Took me a while to appreciate this one too. This is Pearl Jam. I think this is the album they made in 2013. I really liked this album, and so did my son. I think Pearl Jam, they're pretty prolific. They make a lot of CDs. All right. This is another CD someone loaned me, and I've never listened to it. This guy's a gospel artist from the 70s, Keith Green. He was supposed to be really innovative, so I'm going to have to give it a listen. All right. We got the Best of Motorhead here. Let's go fast. Savoy Brown, a blues band from England, and I really liked them. One of the guys went on to go into the band Foghat. Derek and the Dominoes, Layla. You know, I'm in the last 3 years, I've become a huge Clapton fan. I mean, I always respected Eric Clapton, but I was always more of a Hendrix guy. But I've really come to appreciate Eric Clapton a lot more, you know. Different than Hendrix. Also, he's finishing well. And what I mean by finishing well, aging gracefully, making good stuff into his old age. I really respect that. Henry Rollins. I guess you could say this is almost like punk rock, kind of. This album here actually sounds a lot like heavy metal. But great workout music. And he is kind of a... He's also a spoken word artist, a serious thinker. He thinks about a lot of weird things. The Doors, Best of the Doors. I've had this since I was probably 21 years old. I love the Doors. They make a lot of strange music. All right, more Pearl Jam. A lot of grunge on this shelf. The second album, I really got into this one. I'm not even sure what this is. What is this? Blank CD? Who knows? Unknown blank CD sitting on my rack. I have to put that into the turntable, into the CD player. All right, this is something that I got during my college radio days. It's called Alice Donut. They were a band out of San Francisco, kind of an indie rock band. I liked them, but kind of lost track of them. Jimi Hendrix. This is supposedly his last concert with The Experience. I think it's a pretty good album. For some reason, I have 2 or 3 Hendrix albums that are live that I really like. That particular one I never listened to much. The Grateful Dead, Skeletons in the Closet. If you've never listened to the Grateful Dead, I I recommend that you don't start with Skeletons in the Closet. I would pick a live album from 1977 if you've never listened to them before. The Idiot's Guide to Classical Music. I actually got this from a relative. Played it a few times. I used to wake up to it in the morning. I don't even know if the CD's still in here. I probably should take this case and use it for something else because there's no CD in that case. The Beatles Magical Mystery Tour. I love the Beatles. This contains some of my favorite songs. I Am the Walrus, Strawberry Fields, Baby, You're a Rich Man. I always thought of it as like Paul's answer to Sgt. Pepper's, because I think Sgt. Pepper's had more John Lennon in it. But great album. Oh, this is some reggae here. Burning Spear, Rasta Man Business, or Rasta Business. And this one didn't sell much, but I really enjoyed it. There's a couple tracks on there that I really like. Nirvana's first album. I used to listen to it a lot. You know, maybe once every 2 or 3 years I pull it off the shelf. I was really bummed out when Kurt Cobain died, so I didn't listen to any Nirvana for like 2 years after that. Nickelback, I have one CD from them. I do respect them. I never really got that into them, but good band. Jefferson Starship. This has got some of their 70s stuff that I really like Jane, Ride the Tiger. Picked this up in a bargain rack. Probably half my CDs I picked up in the bargain rack. Bruce Springsteen, Greatest Hits. I like this one too. My wife loves Bruce Springsteen, and my dad's a huge Springsteen fan. I'm not a huge Springsteen fan, but I respect his work. What do we have here? Mark Knopfler, and one that my dad loaned me that I haven't listened to yet. I'm going to have to crack it. All right. I got too many CDs. That's part of the problem. The Scorpions, Greatest Hits. I bought this back when I was probably 24 years old. And I remember I was kind of depressed when I bought the CD, but I like it a lot. A lot of classic heavy metal songs from the late 80s. This is the Aerosmith comeback album, Permanent Vacation. I think it came out in 1985 after Aerosmith got sober. Really good CD. All right, what do we got next? Alice Cooper, Prince of Darkness. And his skin looks like a reptile on the cover here. This one's all right. It's a little cheesy. He's kind of more of a showman than a musician, I think. All right, we're getting down to the bottom here. Pink Floyd, Adam Hart Mother. And my wife was just talking about cows yesterday. I'm going to have to pull this out and show it to her. This is a black and white cow. This is, I think, 2 or 3 albums before Dark Side of the Moon, and maybe 2 albums after Syd Barrett left the band. I like it. There's other Pink Floyd albums I like more, but If is a really good song on this one. All right, another blank CD. I have no idea what this is. Oh, this is a good one. Iron Butterfly, Rare Flight. This actually is a combination of 2 Iron Butterfly albums, one called Heavy and one called Ball. And it's got a great song on here called Unconscious Power that I really like, Possession. Yeah, they were one of the 60s bands that I liked that very few people really know much about. Ooh, and maybe one of my top 10 of all time. This is Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? I remember going to the record store when I was probably 15 years old, and they still sold vinyl back then, and coming home with the vinyl version of Are You Experienced? And I remember when my dad saw that I was getting into Hendrix, he wasn't too happy about that. He's like, oh, you get into Hendrix. But yeah, this was, you know, when I started getting into Hendrix was in the 80s. And back then, it wasn't cool to be into Jimi Hendrix. Hard to imagine that, but... And I always thought the write-up on the liner notes, I have a vinyl version of this too. It says, Jimi Hendrix breaks the world into interesting fragments and then reassembles it. So if I were to go through my favorite songs on this one, Fire is probably my favorite Hendrix song of all time. I really like Hey Joe. I don't know why, I just do. Even though Jimmy didn't write it, I love it. Purple Haze I've heard 1,000 times. I still like it though. Manic Depression's good. He sang about his feelings a lot. Foxy Lady, that's a good one. I do like Third Stone from the Sun. Very strange song. And The Wind Cries Mary, you know, I appreciate that one more now than I used to. The cover's really strange. They did kind of this fishbowl effect. Yeah, I remember, you know, I went kind of from Van Halen into Jimi Hendrix, and it was like, Van Halen is a great guitar player, totally different style, but Jimi Hendrix, yeah, I was a big Hendrix fan for many years. So anyway, that's shelf number 2 on my rack. Maybe in a few days I'll go through a different shelf and see what hidden treasures I have there. Stay safe.